the East Siberian Sea. The temperature here has increased by 4 degrees during the past 30 years. It is the fastest temperature rise on our planet. This can be compared with the difference between the Ice Age and the interglacial period, which is 6 degrees in temperature. There are suspicions that the warming causes the release of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane. To look for the answers to this, an international research team came here on a Russian vessel.
The main purpose of the expedition was to study key carbon fluxes in the Siberian Arctic system, particularly carbon fluxes that are of high climate relevance.
Carbon and methane fluxes come from plants and other organic material that lie hidden under Siberia's permafrost. They have been there for thousands of years, but are released when it thaws. The researchers are now taking samples from the water and seabed in order to measure the level of greenhouse gases. One of the people who work on the boat is Örjan Gustafsson, who is a doctoral student in Örjan Gustafsson's research team.
Good morning, Sunday morning.
Working and living on an expedition such as this is far from Örjan's everyday life at the university.
Even though you prepare for it, it was a lot of work, and also whenever. So whenever we arrived at a certain spot, we had to all wake up and start sampling, and so often it was 2 o'clock at night, 4 o'clock in the morning, or 12 o'clock, or whenever. I thought I found my sea legs after 2 days, but after every major storm, during every major storm, it was throwing up and back to work again.
Örjan's team are investigating the carbon flux in sediment taken from the seabed.
Because we want to look at what the tundra, what is happening with the tundra and the taiga if it warms. So we analyze it in the lab for those compounds that come from land. And then we date them, just like you do with archaeological findings or dinosaur bones or whatever. You do this radiocarbon dating, so you know how old it is. So if we measure that in the top sediment or deeper down in the cores, we see when this material was released. And if it's only 100 years old, then it's kind of a fresh flow of material from the tundra going into the sea. But it might be 10,000 or 50,000 years old. And if that's a sign of old material being released now because of the climate warming.
It will take years to analyze all the sediment samples they have taken. But the level of methane in the water and in the air could be measured on the boat. In several places, the results were surprising.
In 5 or 6 new regions, we found elevated methane concentrations by a factor of 100 times higher than background levels, and in some occasions even 1,000 times above background levels of methane. The reason why one is concerned about it is, I have several different fundamentals. The first one is that methane is a greenhouse gas that is 18 times stronger than carbon dioxide. That's one reason. The second one is that there is indeed a very large methane reservoir in these sediments, and now that it has been found that it is actually being released, it is important, of course, to understand how much is being released, how fast it is being released.
It's the 4th of September in the evening, and here we see the Arctic Ocean. We have started our route all the way in Kirkenes. Then we went all the way, Vilkitsky Strait, Lena Delta, Dimitri Laptev Strait. And now we are there at the Blue Cross in the circle, at the beginning of the Kolyma River, one of the least explored rivers of the whole world.
I just heard about it from stories and from scientific articles, but I could never picture that I was actually standing there and looking at it. But the fact of being there, where I was the first Dutch woman or the first Western scientist, that's a good feeling.
Consequently, greenhouse gases keep leaking from Kolyma's solitary waters, carbon dioxide and methane gases that can make the greenhouse effect worse.
There is, I think in media there is this catastrophic sometimes presentation of it, but I think there is no reason to be an alarmist here. We need to make these studies carefully and be aware of them, and I think it behooves us to now focus more on the Laptev and East Siberian Sea bottom and that methane source, and we had focused some resources to do that, so that we could better assess that particular process in the total scheme of this complex web that constitutes our climate.
A very ominous process, one might think, but the atmosphere among the researchers on board was not a very concerned one.
No, it's more that people are curious and they want to make to see what is going on and to understand the system. But there was no atmosphere like that at all. It was more like excitement. Oh, we have found huge amounts of methane in the sea bottom or in the water bubbling up. And it's of course nice from us. Yeah, that you know that you can measure those kind of things on the ship. I mean, otherwise it might be going on, but you don't see it.